Let's talk about the future of the Montreal Canadiens and the Habs' newest first-round prospect taken in 2026, Gleb Pugachev. Now, we have made a number of videos talking about Gleb already on the channel, but because of some reporting that's been coming out of Russia, because of some of the videos that have been posted about Pugachev, I think it gives us a great opportunity to just kind of get some more info about Montreal's newest first-round prospect, taken 26th overall in the 2026 NHL Entry Draft. Another guy that the Habs traded up in order to get in the draft. By now, you've heard the story. Pugachev is 18, 6'3", 225, a big right winger, a left-handed player who is noted as a heavy hitter and a power forward, with soul-crushing hits, bone-crushing hits, a guy who flattens his opponents like pancakes, all while scoring some pretty decent to okay junior Russian points. I mean, the MHL production, that doesn't stand out too much. 24 points, 33 games, that's okay. But VHL and KHL production is rare for 17 turning 18-year-olds, and the fact that Pugachev was able to do this in both of those leagues is pretty significant in its own right. Even though he's not going out there and scoring the lights out, getting a cup of coffee and scoring 3 points in 13 games with Torpedo in the KHL is good enough to get drafted in the first round. But now, we're taking a look at some of the other videos and social media elements to Pugachev ever since he had gotten drafted. Take a look at this. Habs on Reddit posted on July 2nd a video of Pugachev. He talks about delivering big hits versus his opponents. I enjoy hurting them. That's my job. And you can see his bubbly face. Yeah, I enjoy hurting my opponents, man. This video was posted onto the R-Hockey subreddit as well, and you can see just sort of the joy, the glee on his face when he talks about, yeah, I enjoy hurting my opponents. And as a result, you've got this tweet made by the off-season hottie bro. Who did we draft? With some crying emojis over here. This tweet had 60,000 views and 1.6 thousand likes. It's like the Montreal Canadiens drafted the Baba Yaga or something. Every new quote always has something. He's the killer. He's Gleb. He has a murderous rage, but this is okay. Just thought I'd throw that out there. Gleb Pugachev openly admitting to the media that, yeah, I love hurting my opponents. That's what gives him joy in this sport. Now, I'm not saying that as a bad thing. In fact, I'm saying that as a precursor to an even better thing when you come to talk about Pugachev, because there's a very particular Russian athlete that Pugachev has been compared to recently, and it's none other than former Montreal Canadien Alexander Radulov. I say former Montreal Canadien, we gotta be very loose with that. Radulov ended up playing a total of 524 NHL games, and only 76 of them were with the Montreal Canadiens. Not really the best sample size, but hey, Radulov is a pretty important Russian player. 40 years old, 6'1", 207 pounds, with Lokomotiv Yaroslavl heading into this upcoming season. Yeah, he's 40, but he's still kicking around. He's still playing, and he's actually still a pretty decent point producer in the Continental Hockey League. Of course, most of us remember Radulov for his in-and-out time with the Nashville Predators, where he was a pretty good scorer over there. He then went to the KHL, came back to Nashville, had a playoff stint, and then went back to the KHL for 4 more years. Then he played for Montreal for a season, 54 points, 76 games, and then he was a 70-point guy with the Dallas Stars. Very good run for Alexander Radulov, which included a Stanley Cup Finals appearance. Now he's a pretty decent KHL guy once more, and we have articles going out there and talking about how Russian media are genuinely comparing Gleb Pugachev to Alexander Radulov. Now, I'll say this right here. I don't necessarily see Pugachev scoring 70 points in an NHL season, let alone doing that multiple times, let alone scoring however many points Radulov had in total in his National Hockey League career. 368 points, a .7 points per game in the NHL throughout various parts of his hockey playing career. Radulov's a beast. And when he was playing his best hockey, obviously there was a lot to like out of him and his physicality, 6'1", 207, so Radulov definitely wasn't a scrub. Let's go out there and read this article on dose.ca. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to read it yourself. Pugachev being compared to Alexander Radulov by Russian media. The first thing that comes to mind when talking about Gleb Pugachev is his imposing physique. We've all seen the footage of him crushing his opponents during games in Russia, but physicality can't be a player's only strength. Pugachev is still developing and will continue to do so for a few more years. However, he's trying to model his game after one of his childhood idols, Alex Radulov. Oren Weissman of HabsWorld.net wrote a list of interesting facts about the Canadiens' first-round pick, and this is one of the points. The information comes directly from an interview Pugachev gave to a KHL reporter. Some Russian journalists are also comparing him to Radulov, and he has admitted that he likes the comparison. Radulov had quite a career in the NHL and continues to play, even at 39, in the KHL. What Pugachev likes the most about Radulov's game is his heart, how committed and energetic he is on the ice. That's exactly the kind of thing the Canadiens management wants to hear. You can't play in Montreal without heart. The young Habs prospect also likes to compare himself to Radulov because of their similar builds. He'd like to become that kind of player, someone who can bring physicality to the game while also contributing offensively with smart plays. If Pugachev can play in Montreal with the same intensity that Radulov had when he was in Montreal, he should have a great career and quickly become a fan favorite. He was also asked if he liked to compare his game to players other than Radulov. He gave several interesting answers, including Nichushkin, Barkov, and Auston Matthews. Oh, that's clickbait, baby. That's clickbait. Oh my gosh, Gleb Pugachyov, the next Auston Matthews. I'd be remiss to go out there and ignore that. The Radulov comparison is great, but Auston Matthews is greater. These three players share a clear commonality. They are all capable of handling the puck well while bringing a physical element to their game. Of course, the best comparison here would be Nichushkin. We're talking about a power forward with a big frame, compared to Barkov and Matthews, who are defensively minded centers, eh? Is that the role that Auston Matthews has now in Toronto ever since his goal scoring dried up? Regardless of the comparisons, Pugachev will have to carve out his own path to the NHL to one day wear the Canadiens' colors. The good news is that he has the physical attributes and the right mindset to get there. If you were to ask me, I'm gonna be real, I see more of a Michael Rasmussen out of Gleb Pugachev, and that's not to shade Pugachev's future prosperity. I would honestly bet to say that he's gonna be better than Rasmussen, but I don't really see a Radulov. If the Montreal Canadiens get a 70-point guy out of Pugachev, that would be amazing. If they get a 70-goal guy out of Pugachev, like Auston Matthews, that would be totally mind-blowing. I don't know if Auston Matthews is genuinely a proper comparison here, other than the fact that Matthews also happens to be the same size. They're both 6'3", pretty much. I mean, Auston Matthews, I don't really see a big power forward, brute, physical, I like to torture my opponents and I like to hurt my opponents type of guy. But if Auston Matthews is somebody that Pugachev wants to model his game after, I am not going to say no. Whether it is Radulov or Matthews, either way, we're seeing a 70-point season out of Gleb Pugachev at some point in his career, right? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about these crazy comparables and this huge comparison for Pugachev. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.